आगे आगे हो जाओ साथी आगे आगे जाओ
नहमदुहु व नुसल्ली अला रसूलिहिल करीम अम्मा बाद फ़अऊज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम फस्सलू अहला ज़िक्रि इन कुंतुम ला तअलमून रब्बि इश्रह लि सदरी व यस्सिर लि अमरी वहलुल उक़दतम मिन लिसानी यफ़क़हू क़ौली या रब्बि सल्लि व सल्लिम दाइमन अबदन ala habibika khairil khalqi kullihim. Respected elders, young brothers, Haji Sahib just asked you to come forward and sit together. I mean, in the masjid when we are sitting in a circle, we shouldn't be scattered here and there. We should be sitting together close to the member. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you jazaa khair. Respected elders and young brothers, this is the session, this is the circle of Q&A in which we try our best to answer the questions according to the Quran and Sunnah. If they are correct and right, they are from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and if they are incorrect, they are from our side. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us if we make any mistake. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept this gathering and all the other gatherings which take place in the masjid. May Allah accept them and make means of our forgiveness coming close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and coming close to Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And also may Allah make these gatherings means of our leaving this dunya with iman and leaving this dunya while we are reciting La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Respected elders and young brothers, in this week we also have received some questions. Someone is asking that you mentioned 3 kinds of hijab in a Q&A session a couple of weeks ago. If a woman is showing her face to a man, is she not sinful? Is it allowed for a man to see a woman showing her face? Well, that's correct. That a couple of weeks ago I mentioned 3 types of veils. Number 1 was for a woman, if she just wears the clothing, hijab from the top, from the head to toe, and she covers her body, and yet she doesn't cover her face. This is one of the type of hijab. And the another is where a woman covers her face also. And the top one is that a woman shouldn't even leave her home. She should always stay at home. Now the questioner is asking, is this a woman who opts for a veil in which she doesn't cover her face, is she sinful? Well, she will be sinful if she leaves her home in a state that she's got a perfume on and she is wearing such clothes that are attracting the men, then she will be sinful. But if she is wearing decent clothes, covered her body, but yet she doesn't cover her face, she will not be sinful. If the men are looking at her, then they will be sinful, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, Allah commands both men and women to lower their gazes when we are walking. The men, they don't cover their faces, but if a woman is walking, she has to lower her gaze. She is not allowed to look at a man's face, and a man is not allowed to look at a woman's face. So if a woman leaves the home in a state that she is wearing those clothes that attract the men, and she's got a perfume on, and then she will be sinful. But besides that, if her face is not covered and she is wearing good clothes, covered her body from top to bottom, from the head to toe, then inshallah we cannot say that she is sinful. But in this day and age, we should remember, in this day and age, the fitna is dominant, mischief is dominant over khair and good. So, I mean, we will encourage the women to wear the full hijab. But if they choose to wear the other hijab in which the face is not covered, still they are wearing hijab. No one will say they are sinful. But if the men are looking at the woman, then they should, they are going to be sinful by looking at the woman. I have, the second question is, I have been using Islamic Center's timetable, Fajr, starting time, but I would like to switch to Shah Jalal and Dewsbury timetable. Is this fine? Well, question from my side is, why are you leaving Islamic Center's timetable? And then we will answer your question, inshallah. First, let us know why. What's the objection? What's the reason of leaving Islamic Center's timetable and going to another timetable? Then, inshallah, we will speak to you and we will let you know, we will explain to you whether this is fine or not. Is it a must to wear Shalwar above the ankle? Can we wear Salwar up to the ankle? And normally the ankle size is 2 to 3 centimeters. So how to wear correctly, or we must keep takhana, meaning ankles, open all the time? Is it haram to have the ankles covered? Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, before he died, a young man came to visit Hazrat Umar Farooq radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and while he was leaving, Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu called him, and he observed that his garment is overlapping his ankles. These ankles were covered, and he called him back. He said, look, just lift your garment up. Why? If you're going to drag your garment on the ground, on the floor, the filth will stain on your clothes, number one. And number two, if you will lift them, then in this is piety, taqwa. So lift your, just uncover your ankles. And there's a hadith of Prophet ﷺ in which he says, on the day of judgment, there are three types of people with whom Allah will not speak. No Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will look at them. No Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will purify them. But for them will be a punishment, a painful punishment. And they are, Rasulullah said, the one who gives, who does a favor to someone, who gives to a person who was needy, and then later on he tries, he reminds him of his favor. That look, I've done this favor to you, I gave you this much. So this person, giving, if you gave someone something, you give for sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's no need to, mention what you've done for someone. If you keep on mentioning it and just reminding other people the favor which you've done to other people, Allah does not like this. And our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, the second person, the one who covers his ankles. The one who covers his ankles. His garment is overlapping the ankles, and he will just imagine this amal. We are taking it very light, but here Prophet ﷺ warning. He's warning us on the day of judgment. This person, Allah Almighty will not talk to him. Allah will not look at him. Allah will punish him, and yet we have taken it very light. We have taken it very light. So what's wrong with it? Nothing wrong with it. Some people, what they do, when they stand for the prayer, then they uncover their ankles. It's good. I'm not saying it's good, but this is not only for the prayer. It's at all times. It's at all times, not only for the prayers. Keep this in your mind. So, and the third person is our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who sells something through, his oaths. He's not loyal. He's not honest to the buyer. You say somebody wants to sell a car, or somebody wants to sell something, and he knows there is a fault in the car or something, and he doesn't let the person know, and he on top he just lies to the person and takes an oath. This car is so good, it runs very smoothly, this and that. and this person on the day of judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not speak to him. Hazrat Maulana Yusuf Mutala Rahmatullah alayhi, he has about 186 khulafas. How does a peer decide to whom to give khilafah? Well, first of all, I don't know much about it, but I mean, what I think on the basis they give the khilafah to someone, maybe is the one who's very punctual with his daily wazaifs, number one, very punctual, who keeps informing his peer, his murshid, what he is doing. And then through their light of iman, the vision Allah has given them, then they come to conclusion, no, he is in a position that I should, give him this khilafat. But anyhow, ask someone else as well. This is what I think. It could be something else for some how they give. I 100% do not know how, why, on what basis they give the khilafat to someone. But this is what I think. The one who is very punctual, with his daily wazaifs, very punctual. He doesn't miss anything. They say, what is a wazifa? Wazifa should become a second nature of you. Like we don't miss our breakfast in the morning, we don't miss our afternoon lunch, we don't miss our evening meal, we don't miss. Similarly, the wazifa is that we should not miss. No matter what happens, whether we are home, whether we are traveling, whether we are sick, whether we are healthy, no matter what the conditions are, we should never ever miss our wazaif. No matter what happens, we find our, this is how a person, comes close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But unfortunately, what happens with us, we do something today, maybe for a week, for a month, and then we leave it, and then again we start doing it. This is no, this is not a wazifa. Wazifa is that you never ever miss it. What I think on this basis, they give khilafat to their murids. Now, a similar question someone asked regarding wazifa. Someone is saying, I was talking to somebody and he strongly said that the concept of wazaif or wazifa is not in Islam. The concept of wazifa is not in Islam. Furthermore, he said that if it was, it would have been done at the time of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I pointed out that this practice is widely used in Indo-Pak, meaning Pakistan, India, subcontinents. The person would not agree. He said it is wrong. Any comments or thoughts on this, please let us know. First of all, know what wazifa is. I think this person, he doesn't know what wazifa is. He doesn't know what wazifa is. You're reading tasbihat after every prayer. This is a wazifa. Subhanallah 33 times, Alhamdulillah 33 times, and Allah Akbar 34. This is a wazifa. So this is not in hadith. This, you're reading, this is in daily wazaif. You're reading first kalma every day, 100 times. This is a wazifa. You're reading third kalma, first kalma, or third kalma, or istighfar, or you recently celebration of Prophet every day, 100 times, or 300 times. This is a wazifa. This is a wazifa. You're reading Quran every day, one para or whatever you read. This is your daily wazifa. So this person, he doesn't know what wazifa is. Wazaif, you read those, you do the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on a daily basis. This is a wazifa. This is known as a wazifa. What a zikr you're doing of Allah every day. Every day. This is wazaif. This is wazifa. So I don't know on what basis this person is saying that it's not in the hadith of Quran. Isn't the subhanallah and alhamdulillah in the Quran? We have been told by Allah and Prophet ﷺ to do the recitation of the Quran and do the zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala every day. La ilaha illallah. You open the hadith book and you will find the virtue of reading La ilaha illallah. You will find the virtues of reading third kalima, subhanallah, alhamdulillah. And you will open the hadith and you will find the virtues of reading Durood Sharif, celebration of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You open the Quran and you open the hadith and you will find the virtue of doing istighfar So istighfar, these are wazaifs. What is the ruling on sending your children to public school? Well, by law in this country, you have to send the children to primary schools. If there are any Islamic primary schools or secondary schools, then we should give a priority to that. We should send them there. But unfortunately, we don't have any. Alhamdulillah, we have a Islamic girls' school, a secondary school. We should send. Mashallah, their GCSE report was 100% pass mark this year. So mashallah, we should send our daughters to that school. So in this, in this country, by law, we have to send children to school. We have no choice, unless there are nearby towns, Dewsbury, Bartley. They have. If you can manage to take your children every day, drop them and pick them up, then by all means you should do it. But I don't think so. It's possible to do it every day, to go to your Bradford every day, morning, drop them, they come back, then they after evening drop them and come pick them and come back home. So we should try our best to open a school here in Leeds. Could Leeds Islamic Center start giving out Arabic lessons so that people are able to understand Quran in original language? So give your names to myself and Maulana, and then inshallah from there we will move on. You give your names, inshallah, you just give your names that we are interested. There's no point starting a class and we don't have any student in front of us. We only see the four walls. So give your names first, and inshallah I will consult with Maulana Sahab, and then we can start a class in Arabic. Now then, question, are we allowed to continue with our own dhikr? If wazifa, if ta'lim is taking place in masjid or at home, or we must stop everything and sit in a ta'lim. Although I was saying that are we allowed to do zikr when azan is being given, but then I already said ta'lim. Well, first of all, I would say in the masjid, if the ta'lim is going on or any other bayan is going on, rather than doing dhikr, we should sit in ta'lim, we should sit in the circle. And then after that, we can do our zikr. But if someone chooses, no, I don't want to sit, so then you can sit in the corner and you do your zikr. Nobody's going to say, no, you're doing that. But if in the masjid the ta'lim is going on, we should sit. We should listen, because the hadith of Prophet ﷺ is being read, or the verses of the Quran are being translated and explained. So in the masjid, ta'lim is going on. What is ta'lim? Ta'lim, maybe someone might say, this is not the Quran hadith ta'lim. Somebody might turn around and say, what is ta'lim? Like somebody said, wazifa, it's not in the Quran and hadith. Tomorrow somebody might turn around and say, what this ta'lim? There's no mention of ta'lim in Quran and hadith. So remember ta'lim, what ta'lim is? Reading the hadith of Prophet ﷺ. This is ta'lim. This is, in our language we say ta'lim, teaching the hadith of Prophet ﷺ. So sitting in the hadith of Prophet ﷺ, it's a blessed action. Sitting when the hadith of Prophet ﷺ being read and explained, mashallah. This tabligh, this Fazail Amal, don't take it very light. The people think, this book, the author who wrote it, who compiled all these hadiths, he taught a Sahihul Bukhari for 40 years. For 40 years. And if you look, he has every hadith, he has given a reference. That you can find this hadith in this book or in that book. This muhaddis who wrote this book, today people take it very light. Oh, the Fazail Amal. What is Fazail Amal? Fazail Amal is a great book. Fazail Amal is a great book. If you read the Fazail Amal, you will find how much knowledge is there. Sheikh Safi Rahmatullah Ali, how much knowledge he has put in this book. Even today, let alone let alone, let me tell you, let alone the public, general public, even the ulamas, they read this book. I can remember once our Hazrat Rahmatullah, he came to visit my house. You know what he said to me? He said, if anybody wants to do bayan, any newly farig alim, he wants to do bayan, he should read, sit and read the Fazail Amal. So don't take very low and don't consider Talim, this Fazail Amal very low. It's the Fazail Amal, alhamdulillah, it's a book of hadith. And every reference you will find at the end of the hadith. This book is in this book, this hadith is in At-Tarhib wa Tarhib, this hadith is in Sahih Muslim, this hadith is in Bukhari, this hadith is in Abu Dawud or Nasai or Ibn Majah. So alhamdulillah, besides that, the knowledge of Maulana Zakir Rahmatullah, you find it that, writes the hadith, then he explains. In the explanation, that the knowledge of Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah, subhanallah, the knowledge he had. So Talim, if it's taking place in the masjid, or the bayan is going on, or the Quran is going on, the hadith is going on, rather than doing our tasbihat or our zikr, we can postpone that for a while and sit in the talim or in the zikr majlis or in the hadith majlis or in the Quran majlis. What do jinnats eat? We don't need to worry about what jinnats eat. Allah is not going to ask us, did you have any concern of their food? Allah is not going to ask us anything about jinnats. But anyhow, our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, may we be sacrificed for him. Our parents may be sacrificed. He has even told us what is their food. Our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, don't use the bones for your istinja. He said, don't use, like in the countries, people, rather going to toilet, they go in the jungles, and they said, don't use for it in order to, cleanse your private parts with the bones. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, on those very bones, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts some meat, and this meat is their khurak and their food, the jinnats. And the cattle's dung is also their meat, and the charcoal is also their meat. So this is the meat, or this is the food of the jinnats. The bones we eat, the bones, we throw them away. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala places the meat on these bones, and then they come and eat. This is their food. They're saying generally in the UK, toilet and shower are together. Same place. Are we allowed to read dua while making wuzu in this washroom? The ulama, they say verbally we shouldn't, verbally, like when you're doing wuzu in, those bathrooms, the combined the toilet and the shower. And the ulama, they say while you're doing wuzu, we recommended while we're doing wuzu, we should read duas. So they say, don't read the duas verbally, just read it in your mind. Verbally, don't read it. Just just in your mind you can read it, but verbally don't read, because these are names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in the toilet, you should do the zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in the toilet, because the toilet is there, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he used to come out of the toilet, the first thing he used to say, Ghufranak, oh Allah, I seek your forgiveness. Now the ulama, they say, what was the reason of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying istighfar after he had come out of the toilet? Why would say istighfar? Istighfar means seeking forgiveness. Why? They say the reason behind this verse that he would seek the forgiveness of Allah after he had come out of the toilet. The moment, the time he spent in the toilet without the zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the verbal zikr, he would seek Allah's forgiveness. Allah, I seek your forgiveness that I could not verbally do your zikr in the toilet. Allah, I seek your forgiveness because I couldn't do verbal zikr in the toilet while I was, relieving myself. So Allah, you forgive me. Just imagine in the toilet, a Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, after relieving himself, he would do the istighfar. I say, Allah, I couldn't do your zikr. So imagine our Prophet how much zikr he used to do of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And today, we even after committing the sins, we don't do istighfar. Even after committing the sins, we don't do istighfar. This is where we stand. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us a tawfiq that we always do zikr of Allah and seek Allah's forgiveness. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. وصلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا